This is from at Mark Musso Live. Do you think collecting in general is something more psychological and therapeutic than people give it credit for?
I feel like we've touched on this before, but
Touch.
I do think that there is something therapeutic to collecting, and
What the fuck, Ian?
anyway, sorry, I decided to go for it.
You have a mute button too on the board.
Yeah, no, I decided to go for it.
I apologize for Ian's behavior if you're listening with headphones.
I'm sorry, that was just I made that conscious decision. Do you think that collecting in general is something more psychological and therapeutic than you give it credit for? Yes. I think that collecting is actually a good thing depending on how you attack it. Collecting and buying a ton of stuff is not always great. However, there is something very therapeutic to cataloging and organizing.
Cleaning and preserving.
Cleaning, preserving, arranging. I get it. I probably should not spend the amount that I have on records in past years. However, when I alphabetize them or catalog them or look up variants on them, there is something very calming about it. I've mentioned in the past, and this isn't meant to sound dark at this point, but it really did help me get through the passing of my grandmother to start to catalog that stuff. It's kind of mindless, but you also learn all sorts of interesting facts about what you have when you really start to pay attention to the collections you have. So whether it's NES games or comic books or records, there's something very, I think, therapeutic to not just collecting necessarily, but really paying attention to your collection and getting to learn about what it is that you have.
It is a learning experience collecting because in order to know what you have, in theory, you have to learn about the subject matter, and then you have to see what you have and realize what you have, and maybe that information sticks to you in some fashion. Doesn't necessarily mean it always will stick to you.
I feel like for most people, there has to be a natural learning experience for people who are really interested in it.
If you're really into it.
Yeah.
Like I used to say that when I could do this, when I first was putting together the collection, I would play every game that I found at the swap meet. At least for a couple minutes. Oh, that's an interesting game. I didn't know about that. We're talking late 90s, early 2000s. You know, these aren't all games you can look up on YouTube, for example. You could load them up in an emulator, but that wasn't the same thing. You know, doing that is something more. It's definitely psychological. I mean, doesn't mean it's good or bad though, because it could be OCD that drives you to collect, and you have to just have a compulsion to get every one of a certain type of object.
Or it could be that that's your pleasure center, and that's normal, and you spend within your means, and it's okay.
But you don't always spend within your means. Not mean you. I mean the general you.
Yeah,
like sometimes
it's a wibbly wobbly mess of bullshit.
There's people that I have known that are living check to check, and they're still buying a bunch of overpriced retro games from maybe people that appeared on awful reality shows, you know. So I mean that can happen. So live within your means. If you don't, no matter what it is, you might have some sort of psychological problem, and that could be collecting, it could be gambling, it could be drug abuse, it could be anything. Why are you smiling for? I'm not accusing you of these things. I have no idea.
I know.
I have no idea how much.
I know you're not.
I have no idea how much.
That's not why I'm.
I have no idea how much you're spending.
I have no idea how much.
I
don't. I 100% do not think you're accusing me of these things.
You might know something else, but Ian's little smirk with his fingers cute. It's very, very coy.
I'm a coy boy.
I'm trying to think if it was ever actually therapy for me. I just like going out to the flea markets and just searching for shit. There's like, it's like a treasure hunt. And for me, that's calm. It's fun, but it's also calming. I don't know. And it's a process. I mean, there was a time when I would not miss a Saturday or Sunday for a good year and a half. I would go both fucking days every weekend to the swap meet.
Right. I remember that. That was a long time.
I was a lot fucking crazier then, though. 6-7 years ago.
Debatable.
Than it was now. Debatable that I was more crazy? No, I was a lot more fucking crazier.
Okay, I'll give Pat some credit. He was a lot more crazy.
I was a lot more crazier then. A lot more crazy than probably 3 years ago versus now, or 4 years ago. But there was an adventure aspect to it. Because I'm not going to go.
That's why you put on the hat.
Well, keep the sun out of my eyes.
It was for adventure.
Of course, the local asshole collector's like, oh, Pat thinks he doesn't want people coming up for autographs. No, it's to keep the sun off of my awesome skin.
I thought
That's
it was
why.
because he was a hot grandma.
Well, I used to also play bingo, but that's a whole other conversation. I did. I wrote a screenplay and a half playing bingo in New Jersey. I did. That's not even a lie.
We're unraveling. Pat, bring it home.
Never got a date playing bingo, but the old women love me. So anyway, there's definitely a lot of therapeutic stuff to it, but also it can be psychological, both good and bad.